Well, hello everyone. Welcome to World at War Comics. I have another amazing guest today. Today, joining me is Mr. Hotep. He is the creator and owner of Black Lion and Cubs. Hotep, so good to finally meet you in person, my friend.
Tommy, man, I'm honored and just I'm geeked and stoked and all those words, man. It's just it's been a long time coming for us to connect in this way. I'm a fan of your page and the work that you do, and so let's get into it.
I appreciate it. Well, likewise, my friend. And I've been watching you. And then obviously we have a mutual friend in Andre, and he's an
Mhm.
amazing human being. And he's actually been on the podcast a couple times. But I know
Mm.
he's working closely with you. So I'm hoping that we could kind of get into that. But what you're creating sounds amazing. Maybe we could just start kind of going back. Like, where did this idea for Black Lions and Cubs start? And
Mm.
what is your goal, and what do you want this to represent within the comic and anime and this whole kind of culture that we all participate in?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for that question. Black Lion and Cubs actually started accidentally, if you will. I never intended to get into this space, if you will. I'm really just a proud father and excited about the opportunity to share with my young boys, my cubs, if you will, um, the things that I grew up on in the 80s. So, like most parents, I started sharing with them, my favorites from my heyday. And so, those things include the original NES, Mega Man in particular, Castlevania, Rygar, all those games that me and my brothers used to play. Put them down on 80s golden age hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's KRS-One to,
Yeah,
Big Daddy Kane, who's a personal favorite of mine. So, put them down on that music. Michael Jackson, of course, they know who that is. Um, to some of the comic books that I used to collect because I was a big comic book head at the time. If you want to go down any name of any of the popular Marvel artists at the time, whether it's John Romita Jr., John Adams, John Byrne, Frank Miller, of course, was probably my favorite. He was the standard bearer for me, especially when he came out with that Wolverine four-part series.
yeah,
Um, so the comic books, I put them down on that. And then, of course, the cartoons, right? So I came up on a time where the original Transformers, Gen 1, Generation 1
yeah,
came out, Voltron, Dungeons and Dragons. I was a big fan of that every Saturday morning, Dungeons and Dragons, Thundercats on weekdays. So, all these
yeah.
things are the things that I put my children on to. And I saw them, enjoy it. They
Mhm.
gravitated to it. And then my niece kind of brought things more contemporary with today's anime, if you will, because back in the 80s, we didn't call it anime. Those were just cartoons.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and so she was exposing them to some of today's anime, which I know nothing about. And so when she told me my boys liked anime and I looked at some of today's anime, I was, it was dope, of course, but I just saw that it wasn't appropriate for young children. My children are 2 and 4. So because I'm a longtime entrepreneur and visionary, particularly a creative entrepreneur, I just decided that I would start off by just drawing a picture, having a picture drawn of me and my boys as anime heroes. And it was from that initial desire in February of last year that launched the whole and spearheaded the whole snowball effect of what ultimately became Black Lion and Cubs. I liked what I saw. I liked the response. And from there, I just started fashioning things in a way that I thought represented more of my culture, more of the competencies and lessons that I wanted my boys to learn. Um, and then also uh, just started writing stories and building the universe, the Black Lion and Cubs universe, if you want to call it that. And man, so here I am today with anime, with comics, graphic novels. Well, here's some of the graphic novels right here. That just the first proofs came in for the graphic novel, so
nice.
that's graphic
Congrats.
novel one. Thank you. Here's graphic novel two already ready. You know what I'm saying? And then I got books for the elementary. Because I'm a former school teacher, so I have items that are educational. I have a reading book as well. Then I had this hardcover art book. This is the book of official art from Black Lion and Cubs. So those are just
Wow.
some of the properties. in addition to the video games that I had made. So I just been cranking out a lot of products, a lot of intellectual property assets for Black Lion and Cubs, and getting ready to take the market by storm in a few months.
That is so exciting. When you go to your website, it kind of highlights all the different things that you're working on. And, a lot of people get into this space with a comic, and that's an undertaking all on its own. But to have
Mm.
two graphic novels, not only that, you have two cartoons that have been created too on your website and in
Mm.
the video games. I mean, that's a lot, Hotep. I mean, I don't know how you have the time for that, but two, it's incredible to come out the gate with so much at one time. Was that always the
Mm.
goal, is to have all these different kind of avenues within this realm and then just come all out at once? That way you can make a bigger splash?
So a few things. Uh, Number one, when I create something, I always in my mind have consider all the different ways I can express it, right? So I'm a creative person and very expressive. Over my years and my journey as an entrepreneur, I've been in the music industry, I've been in the film industry, I've published books. And so each of those are just different ways for me to express my ideas, my thoughts, and anything else. So that work that I did in the past is pretty much the precursor to what I'm doing right now. And it's the reason why I have so many different types of, media properties is because one, I'm familiar with many different types of properties. And two, uh, when I express myself in one way, I'm constantly thinking about how I can express myself in a variety of other ways. And the second thing is, I'm not just a creative, I'm a businessman as well. And so once I started seeing the impact, the response that I was getting to my characters and my stories, I said, well, I started thinking, what are the other ways that I can possibly monetize these characters and these stories? And so what you're seeing is just the result of me considering the many different ways. And to be honest, I don't know which way. Like most of these are just proofs, right? Like I haven't mass produced many of them because I haven't decided on whether or not I will or when I will. I'm kind of just testing things out now, even the different art styles. Like, I had someone ask me if I, had, used AI, and I don't use any AI art. I just hire multiple artists to show my characters because at this point I haven't even settled on which style of art I want to represent Black Lion Cubs, if I want any one style at all. And so, just like, and again, this is all because I grew up in a time where when Spider-Man was not drawn by any one artist, right? Like back in the day when Spider-Man first started, there was one artist, I forget his name, who was the artist for Spider-Man at that time. But over, decades, you've seen, Spider-Man expressed in many different ways. One of my favorites, of course, is when Todd McFarlane took on the duties for drawing Spider-Man. So my point is, because that's my upbringing, as soon as I started to embark on this journey, I said, well, let me see how many ways I can have, my characters drawn and which way, who's going to be my Todd McFarlane, you know what I'm saying? Who's going to be my Frank Miller, or if I have multiple and just give them all an opportunity to shine, which is basically what I'm doing now at this point.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think that is such a good approach as well. Especially these different avenues in which that you're bringing that story to life, right? Because although I enjoy comic books and I would love the graphic novel, right? Not everybody's a comic fan, but you still want that story to come forth. So to have the video games and some of these other elements like the cartoon, you're just going to be able to reach a lot more people. And when we had our
Mm,
last conversation, Hotep, we had a really amazing phone call about a week and a half
mm.
ago, and I think we talked for about an hour. And
Yes, we did.
yeah, at least an hour, right? And
Hmm.
we talked a lot about fatherhood and how important it is that we're instilling in our children those things that are most important to us. And what better way to do that than through some of these different avenues that you've chosen? Can you kind of go more into detail about how important it is as a father presenting something that you feel is proper for your children to be able to take in?
Yes, yes. So I'm a former school teacher. I used to teach elementary school. As a person who's not who has not only been an educator, but educated in what's important for human development, one of the things that I learned is that ages 0 to 5 are some of the most important developmental ages in a human being's life. In short, the data says that if a person has the necessary competencies by age 5, not grade 5, by age 5, chances are they're going to continue in that fashion and be okay. However, if a person is missing those competencies, or they've been developed in a malformed way from 0 to 5, then chances are it will continue in that way, and that person will have a very difficult time shifting, changing, if they are able to at all. And so being knowledgeable about that, and then now becoming a father, I scrambled, once I knew we were pregnant, I, scrambled, very aggressively to make sure even prenatally that I surrounded my wife with amazing sounds and experiences and emotions, because she passes those things to our children. A lot of people don't appreciate that, right? But the woman passes her status, her feelings, to the fetus. So I was conscious of that then. And even now, when my children are born, making sure that I'm surrounding themselves with nurturing things, nurturing messages, words, food, music, everything, needs to be that way. Some people think, what I'm saying to be corny, a little overly such, but you will see the results of these seeds being planted pop up, as they grow up. And so Black Lion and Cubs, when I decided to create it, uh, is just another opportunity for me to continue in that fashion, right? How can I? So the question was, how can I create Black Lion and Cubs in a way that's developmentally appropriate for children, but also empowering? And how can I utilize it as a vehicle to continue to provide those messages and lessons that I think are that I know, not even think, that I know are very important for human development. And so within the storyline of Black Lion and Cubs, there's a lot of messages. One of those things that I know is extremely important for human development is confidence and self-esteem, a positive self-esteem. And so throughout the storyline, if you will, Black Lion and Cubs, there's always messages and lessons of empowerment to help build a person's self-esteem, confidence in themselves. Even in um, the new intro. So, long story short, I had a new intro sequence created for the anime series, right? For season 1 and 2.
Mhm.
And in it, I, planted a message that says true power comes from within, right? And so that's an important message that I wanted to be the overarching theme, if you will, for Black Lion and Cubs. And that's the reason why I put it in the intro sequence, that no matter what it is, what you're experiencing, what you see, what you hear, the fact of the matter is, for all of us, true power always comes from within. And it's a very important message that people remember, not even just children, but adults remember, as we look into our society and people are constantly looking for answers outside of themselves, answers from other people or from other sources and such. Truth of the matter is, we've been implanted, with the answers, with the solutions, with the power to change our lives and the world. And when we recognize that and then start to access those faculties that we have, man, amazing things can happen. And I know this for a fact because it's what I'm doing. It's what you've seen is just a result of me accessing that power that I've been implanted with. And it's something.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems to come across Hotep, which is absolutely amazing. And as a father, I could really appreciate that. Unfortunately, my kids are all 18 and over, but I wish there was a Black Lion and Cubs when they were little, But I think it's absolutely amazing. Can we maybe talk about how important it is, not only for that messaging, but for your children to be able to see other within your comic book or on the TV that look like them? We talked a little bit about that on the phone too, and I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, well, um, part of building self-confidence and esteem is the necessity to see a reflection of yourself in a powerful fashion, you see. And so, uh, that's, and that's just the fact of the matter. When I came up in the 80s, I didn't have the benefit of seeing much of that, right? There were, we had little snippets, like, we saw George Jefferson, he made it, right? George Jefferson made it. But, he was an outlier, right? He was like the exception, not the rule. So in the 80s and even in the 90s, you were very hard pressed to see Black people, particularly Black men, in a position of power, in a position where they spoke very intelligently and articulately. Um, you were hard pressed to see the family doing well. Even when Cosby did his Cosby Show, there was pushback, not so much from other cultures that I can remember, but from the Black community, because we said amongst ourselves, that's not real. You
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? And that statement comes from basically the brainwashing and the conditioning that we've suffered from for, hundreds of years, is the fact that and that brainwashing has come about as through the way media has been utilized or misutilized or weaponized, if you will. So, I'm again, because I'm an educator, I'm very sensitive to that, and it was of prime importance that when I developed Black Lion and Cubs, that I took it as an opportunity for my children and other children like mine, even and not even children, not just Black children, but even white kids, you know what I'm saying, or people of other races, to see Black people in that light. Because just as much as I was, if you will, a victim of not seeing Black people in a empowered position, so is everyone else. So when you
Good
have these
point. Good point.
biases, when you see these biases or the racisms and all these different isms, a part of that is a byproduct of how we were all raised and conditioned to see certain people in certain ways. So, that's the simple fact of the matter is, and I could not, in good faith and conscience, uh, you know, not create something and not take advantage of the opportunity to present something in a fashion that we call, Black excellence, if you will.
I think that's so amazing. And, over the last year, I've had such an amazing opportunity to meet some of the best Black creators in comics.
Mm,
Tyler Martin, who owns Godhood Comics, Derek Allen, who owns Concrete Comics, Tony Cattell, who owns Advent Comics, and there's a lot more. I don't want to leave anybody out because I've met a lot of amazing people. And when we have these discussions, right, they're all a little younger than you and I, Hotep. I know you and I are about the same age. They're a little bit
mm,
younger, but the same experience growing up and not seeing themselves in some of these superheroes really affected them, right? And so when they became of age or when they became to a point where they felt like they could do something about it, they just created on their own as opposed to waiting for something else to happen outside of their control. And what's been created is some of the best comic books in the industry. So as a
mm,
comic fan, I'm a big fan of what they do because they produce top notch, high quality products. But on the other hand, right, they're meeting a need. I think, according to them, what's that need, which is in the Black community, that they're not finding these kind of superheroes and people to look up to within the comics that they're reading. So I'm so glad that you shared that. And
mm,
man, that message has been really strong, at least within the comic community, in my little world of getting to meet a lot of these amazing folks. Like you said,
mm.
that Black excellence, bringing that to the comic world so that others can see that excellence within this genre, as well as TV and some of the other opportunities that might exist. So that's absolutely incredible, man.
Thank you. And particularly now that so I came up on comics
Mhm.
and what we called cartoons. We didn't call it anime. Once I got exposed to anime, and again, I'm a novice. I don't know anything about anime except a few things that I've looked up online real quick. But what I have seen and what I've learned in speaking to other people is that anime is, you know, decades behind comic books and cartoons when it comes to the representation of Black people. And so, um, I recognize that what I'm doing in the anime space is even, um, you know, more of a unicorn, if you will, because comics is one thing, right? But we at least had Black Panther, Luke Cage, we had a few of them, and and then we had the Falcon who became Captain America. So there was a conscious um, desire to represent Black people, although it wasn't done 50-50. I mean, and I don't expect to see. And this is something. Let me be clear. I never put it on other people as their responsibility to represent me. You understand? Like, if you're a white person, then represent yourself. You should represent yourself because that's who you are. It's not white people's responsibility to represent Black people. That's Black people's responsibility. And again, but that comes from the mind of an empowered person, right? As an empowered person, you can respect the fact that if you're Native American, represent yourself. If you're Japanese, represent yourself. You don't owe us anything. You understand? So represent your Japanese culture because that's what you should do. It is on us to represent ourselves. And so when it comes to the space of anime, again, I don't complain about what's there or what's not there. I get busy, to your comment about your other colleagues, I don't wait for opportunity. I create it. So I recognize at this point that I'm a Black father, I'm a Black man and educator representing Black excellence and articulating elements of Black and African culture through a Japanese art form. You understand? I recognize that it's a Japanese art form and salute to that. But what I have learned is that there's people who have a problem with or don't think that Black people can create anime because anime is a Japanese art form. And to those people, you can quote me. I'm gonna keep saying it every time I get the chance. For anybody that does not think Black people can create anime, I'll put it this way to them: saying Black people can't create anime is just as ignorant as saying Japanese people can't create hip hop. You see? Now we all know how much Japanese people love hip hop culture, create it. China, all races create hip hop, right? But hip hop is an African American, in particular, art form.
Correct.
But we never got in the way of or discredited people who genuinely choose to express their culture and themselves through that art form. That's what great. So come on board. And again, so I put it that way because when I say it that way, people understand, you know what? Oh, sure, he is right. Everybody's doing hip hop. Why can't everybody do anime?
Correct. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that's absolutely amazing. And man, you're right. I mean, that's such an opportunity within anime to bring those kind of stories. Can we get maybe a little bit into some of those stories, Hotep? Because I think even some of the stories are pretty amazing too. Can you kind of talk about some of the first stories and what we could expect when either the graphic novel is available or what's in the cartoons that you already have out?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I developed for whatever reason, three is the magic number for me. You understand? I'm one of three children in my household. I'm a big fan of De La Soul. You know what I'm saying? So three is the magic number. Even Tribe Called Quest and Run DMC, it was three, so three is always in my head. So when I decided to start creating stories, three main characters in Black Lion and Cubs, and I decided to create three storylines. The first storyline is Valley of the Kings. Valley of the Kings is a storyline that follows our heroes on a mission throughout North Africa as they trek through historical cities and sites to collect scrolls as to get the clues to as they get closer and closer to find the queen who has been quote unquote kidnapped by Pharaoh King Khufu. All right. So in this universe, if you will, you have the Pharaoh King Ramses of Upper Egypt and the Pharaoh King Khufu of Lower Egypt, who are always at war with each other. Black Lion himself was a former military warlord for King Ramses, but Black Lion had decided that he was going to stop fighting and commit his life to peace. That's why you see Black Lion always with the peace sign, right? Every
That's awesome.
pose, peace signs, right? It's not just a hip hop thing. It's not a fashion in vogue. He stands by peace.
That's awesome.
And so, but he decided when he went back home to raise his sons that he was going to teach them in the ancient in ways to support and protect themselves. So in any case, on occasion, Black Lion is called upon by King Ramses, who because he needs help fending off King Khufu. So in this Valley of the Kings, in this case, Khufu has taken Ramses' queen, and he sends Black Lion and Cubs on the mission to collect the scrolls and find her. Okay, so that's the story behind Valley of the Kings.
That's awesome.
Um, thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. And the second storyline is called Sands of Time. In the Sands of Time, uh, it's a more interplanetary story where Black Lion and Cubs visit different planets carrying a what we call a 12 hourglass. It's an hourglass that is a beaconing device, and they use that to find their next location. All these locations are set by the queen this time, because in this storyline for the Sands of Time, King Ramses has fallen ill. So Queen Isis sends Black Lion and Cubs on this mission to collect, uh, you know, uh, very rare artifacts, not artifacts, rare ingredients, so that she can make an elixir to save her husband King Ramses. And so again, on every stop, our heroes meet some of King Khufu's generals, who are Thoth, Horus, and Anubis. And so Thoth, Horus, and Anubis are his generals. They're constantly at odds. But in both stories, Black Lion is, although the story is called Black Lion and Cubs, it's really the Cubs that are the heroes and the main characters, if you will. Black Lion is the leader, but when it's time for battle, because he doesn't participate in fighting, he steps back and lets his sons fight.
Mhm.
And what he does, his job is just to create. He creates a force field, if you will, where the battles can occur without damaging and destroying the environment that they're in. Because he provides safety. That's what a parent does. He's protecting and providing safety for his children and guidance as they take on these challenges throughout each series. Now, the third series is still, yeah. So I have, like I said, I have the graphic novels and the cartoons for Valley of the Kings and Sands of Time. These are well completed and developed. The third series, which is called Contest of Champions, has a way to go. It will probably won't be ready until the end of this year, maybe 2005 or 2025.
Yeah. And when can fans jump into some of those graphic novels? Do you have an idea of when those will be available on your website?
Yeah, they'll be ready this summer. They'll be ready
Yeah.
this summer. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. It's going to take a couple months because I'm ordering large quantities of them, and I have to go through a certain process and customs. So, yeah, around the summer they'll both be available.
That's exciting.
If not sooner. If not
If not
sooner.
sooner, yeah, yeah. And then as of right now, right, everyone could go to Black Lions and Cubs .com and they could see the two cartoons that are available there, right, when they sign up.
Yeah. So Black Lion is Black Lion
I'm
and
sorry, Black
Cubs.
Lion and Cubs. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, .com. Now on that website, you can find all the information about where things are available.
Hmm.
Um, I have an IG as well. And from the IG and from the website, there's a link tree that has links to the video game where you can watch the cartoon. I'm about to release the second video game for public consumption, if you will, soon. So I have so for each storyline, I have a cartoon, a comic, a video game, and a an audio book as well. So all of
Wow,
them follow pretty much the same storyline, and each of them has a different artist, different music, and so on and so forth. As I test different styles. Mhm.
that is so cool. And who's doing the voiceovers for the audio?
So that's interesting. So besides the anime, the full length anime, I also have a motion manga or a motion comic, if you will. So for the motion comic, I'm actually doing the narration, and for the anime, the full length cartoon, I have a different voiceover artist doing that.
That
And
is
one of the
so exciting.
differences, besides my series being family friendly, the other thing that differentiates, particularly um, the cartoon and the comics, actually, well, the cartoon I'll start with is the fact that it's narrated. So I don't have voice actors playing the roles. It's not the dialogue. It's actually almost as if someone's reading the story to someone and they're watching the animations. And so again, that's just I tend to do things outside of the box because I don't operate in a box, and I don't know the industry standards because I'm not part of the industry. I'm an outsider. So as I approach it, I'm just breaking all the rules and doing things in sequences that people have never seen before because I just don't know what other people do. I just do it my way.
That's probably a good thing, Hotep, to be quite honest, right? That's how you bring in innovation to areas where people have been kind of following rules for a very long time. So I think that's a positive for sure.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, this is super exciting. So, what can people expect next, just in general, for Black Lion and Cubs? It seemed like you've been putting this team together that's going to be
Mm,
helping to take all of this to the next level. We talked a little bit about maybe traveling a little bit once everything is ready to get it in
mm.
front of as many people, whether that be Comic Cons or maybe some other like book fairs or something like that within the school system. Can you kind of share a little bit of that?
Absolutely. So number one, my goal for Black Lion and Cubs is to make it the next biggest thing since Dragon Ball Z.
That's
Okay.
nice.
And that is a tall order. Now, there's a proverb, an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Right.
Amazing.
So, thus far, up until this point, I've been going fast. You see, I've produced a whole lot of stuff because I've been pretty much at it by myself. But as I mentioned, because my goal is very far off. It's a just an amazing, just incredible, mind blowing goal. Who would say that? Because I mean, who could ever accomplish that? Well, I don't know, but I'm on a mission to be the next biggest thing. So now, in order to go that far, I assembled the team. I call them my team of Avengers, my Wu-Tang clan. I got the chambers, the 36 chambers. Yeah, I'm Nick Fury. You
I
understand? I
love
just
it.
don't have the patch. And so I've assembled a crew of people, an international team of people from all walks of life and all races and all places all over the world, who believe in what I'm doing, who like what I'm doing, and also want to see it be successful. And everybody has their own reason. Everybody on my team has their own reason for wanting it to be successful, whether it's because they're parents or because they want to see something culturally different in this space, or they just want to be a part of something exciting and moving. Whatever that reason is, I'm grateful because I need the help. This is a tall order. So yes, in making it the next biggest thing, I pulled together a team of people to assist. I'm working on opportunities for licensing for my characters. That's something that I know is an opportunity out there, and going to be necessary because one of the reasons why we all know about Dragon Ball Z or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or the Mario Brothers is because of licensing, right? These characters are on lunchboxes and in movies and all, you can, everywhere. And so again, I'm a businessman as much as I am a creative. And so I pay attention to what other great brands have done. And that's, a mission of mine as well. So that's the reason why you see my characters in so many different formats is because I'm testing out what they look like in a book, on a lunchbox, on a hat, on a t-shirt. Which t-shirts look better? Which ones, do people respond to? It's all a process that I call, trial and measure, not trial and error, but trial and measure.
I
I
like that.
try things, measure the results, and then refine the process from there. And so, so making it the next biggest thing since Dragon Ball Z, getting into licensing as part of that plan, assembling a team of people that are going to help me carry it over that finish line. And then also, again, continuing to operate outside of whatever industry box it is. And so, as I mentioned, my main business is in education. I'm a former teacher and I have a consulting business. And so, as much as cons exist and are important, for getting the word out, there's cons in the education space. There's educational conferences. There's Black excellence, conferences. So instead of just putting myself in a place where everybody, is doing the same thing, I tell people I don't want to be the, dime a dozen. I want to be the diamond in the rough, right? So I'm constantly finding ways to position myself in places and spaces where other people like me are not. And so that might be part of the reason why I've never met some of the people you mentioned, because they might be doing things that way, through the industry way. I'm over here somewhere else. And but we're gonna eventually meet, and I guarantee if they haven't heard of me already, what I'm saying, they will very soon, because I'm gonna make sure it's inevitable and impossible for people not to have heard or seen Black Lion and Cubs. I'm gonna make it impossible, man. You understand? Like
I
that's
love
just the
it.
mission that I'm on. Yes,
I
sir.
love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, I think that's the attitude and the vision that you have to be successful in anything. So, um, why not apply it to what you're building, right?
Yeah, that's that hip hop attitude. You understand? Like, that's really, I mean, to be honest with you, that's part of what it is, like,
Yeah.
and I noticed this very clearly that, you know, different from a lot of people, my peers in this space, my original point of entry into business and creative commerce is in the music industry in the mid 90s.
Mhm.
So, and doing so on an independent level. So everything again that people are seeing with Black Lion and Cubs is really because it's really a result of the practice that I've had from
Mhm.
way back then,
Yeah.
and I'm applying those competencies. Like I talked to one of my team members the other day, and I asked them about this card. Right, I have these cards, these business cards, right, and so very few people are printing business cards nowadays because they think everything is, IG and Twitter and all and TikTok and such. Well, I'm going against the grain. I have these business cards, and to be honest, if you really take a look at it, the real science of this, and this is just a little, business for somebody else's, this isn't just a business card, it's a flyer,
Mhm.
right? It's a promotional flyer. So I've created promotional flyers at this size that I can distribute and I could throw on the ground. It doesn't cost me much at all, but I can make sure again and ensure that people have seen the brand, are familiar with it, and I'm going against the grain because part of the reason why is because everybody, social media is crowded, right? IG is crowded, YouTube is crowded. So although people are there, let me continue to operate in a space that's not so crowded. I don't want to be dime a dozen. I want to be the diamond in the rough. So this is another way of positioning my brand as the diamond in the rough, because now you left that conference and you got not just a business card, but you got a flyer in your hand. And so that just again is just an example of what I'm saying about constantly finding ways to differentiate myself and then bringing that hip hop attitude and spirit into this space here. Yeah.
Well, I love every bit of it, man. I love every bit of it, Hotep. It sounds absolutely amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on because I am a comic guy, right? And so I do love
Yeah.
that physical. I like to hold it into my hands. I like to turn the pages. I love
Yes.
everything about that. So I can't wait to get that into my hands when it's ready. And I'm here for anything that you need because I would love to see this blow up. I think it would be amazing. And as a father of four children, although they're older, I'm about to be a grandparent, and I would love to be
Mm,
able to put in my grandchild's hands things that one I'm aligned with, and
mm.
that I know is going to build character, strength, and I think
Yes.
everything that you're doing is all about that. And I'm in for it,
Thank
man.
you,
I
my
love it.
brother.
I love it.
Well, as we said on that phone call,
Yep.
doing this podcast is just the beginning, man. This is just the
Yeah.
tip of our iceberg. And so for those that are watching this, just stay tuned and pay attention to my man Tommy as we continue to collaborate and do things together. You're gonna see
Yeah.
Tommy again in a whole nother fashion. You
I love
understand what
it.
I'm saying? You might see Tommy cosplaying as Black Lion.
There you go. You
Black
never know.
Lion. You never
I'm
know.
down. I'm down.
So yeah, man, thank you for being a soldier in this army and giving me the opportunity to spread this gospel. Well, that's what I consider it. I'm on a mission, in short, to build strong children, and everything that I do is part of that commitment. And Black Lion and Cubs is just another byproduct of my desire to build strong children.
Man, I love it. I love it. Well, Hotep, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you stopping by. I'll make sure
Yeah.
that I put all the links at the bottom. So anybody that's listening, I'm going to give you all the opportunities to be able to check out everything that Hotep is doing over at Black Lion and Cubs. So don't worry about that. I got you covered. And then Hotep, as we get closer to the releases of some of these things that you're working on, would love to have you back. That way we can constantly kind of push that information out into the world of everything that you're doing. And in the meantime, we'll be in touch.
Hey man, thank you. You know, and the next big con that I'm doing for those that are wondering is Anime Retro Con. It's a traveling mini con. And I speak about it because, I've done a few cons, recently as doing workshops, but the Anime Retro Con is something I'm very excited about because everything that I create has that retro feel.
Yeah.
You see? And so when they reached out to me and I said, there's an anime retro con, oh my God, that's my life. You understand? So that's the next one that I'm doing. I'm very excited about it. And so, look forward to meeting, some of your colleagues and viewers there at the Anime RetroCon in Savannah in March 2nd.
Savannah, March 2nd. Okay, I'll put that at the bottom too, and I'll go get their website as well. That way we could connect it
Yeah,
all
I'll put it
together.
I'll put it here for you real quick. Where do I do the chat here? Can I do
It
that?
should be at the bottom. Yeah.
Let's see, where is it? Chat. Here we go. Let me just go ahead and do that real quick.
Awesome, Hotep.
You want me to put all the ones here?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. Let's throw it all up there, and then I'll make sure that I add that, and that way people could see it real quick. But
all
man,
right,
absolutely incredible, man.
retrocon.com and I'm
I
doing
never heard of
multiple.
that one, so that's a pretty cool one.
Now, yeah, they're new actually. So they just reached out to me because they're new and they're looking to feed. And this is for your people as well. They're looking to feature artists, creatives, cosplayers. They're brand new, and so they're just looking to bring on people that are exciting and really have that retro, 80s pop, culture type of thing going on. So
I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. So check them out, man. I just put it as Anime RetroCon, Black Lion and Cubs.com, and then the IG is at uh, Black Lion and Cubs. And the last thing is the website where they can watch the anime.
Hmm.
There's a lot of black stuff here. We don't hope they don't scare your people off. Black
No
education.
way, man. No way. I think they'll all be in for this, man. This is awesome.
All right. There we go. Those are all the links right
Ah,
there.
there it is. Yep. I appreciate it,
Yes, sir.
man.
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
right, Mr. Hotep. Thank you so
Tommy,
much. We'll be in
my
touch, my
brother,
friend.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
All right.
Take
Have a
care.
good one.